Hello and welcome. You asked for showing you the exhibition, this year's exhibition, and I'm here with my sister, Cristina. I'm Laura. We are sisters, we are twin sisters, and we both joined together 7 years ago. We joined this club, we joined this group, and we are equally involved. So I thought to invite her to explain what we are doing. And actually, she is going to start the explanation because, well, it's a big exhibition and we are about 20 people, and each group of people is responsible for one part of the diorama. And actually, Christina and her group were the ones responsible for the first scenes. So,
Yeah.
Christina?
So, hello. First time for me on this channel. So we decided to create different things around the crops in general, which is the theme of this year's nativity scene. And on this first scene, we decided to create an olive grove. So whole field that slopes up, and we have olive trees that they are being already recollected. We have scenes in which the olives are being recollected, then separated from the leaves, and then put on
A cart?
whichever transportation method they are going to use to then bring it to be processed further on.
Great. Let's move. Let's continue because here the scene continues. We are seeing the same scene but different parts of it.
Exactly. Here is where we see that they are putting all the olives on this cart, that it's gonna be transported then to what already is hinted of the next scene, because we already see a building up there, which probably is where they are bringing the olives.
Mm-hmm. We try, when we build because this is super big, we try to separate one scene from the other and put something. In this case, it's a house. Other cases, it's a mountain, like up there, to hide one scene from the other, so that when the viewer comes to the exhibition, as they move, they discover new scenes, new parts of the diorama. And because we don't want the viewer to see it all from the first glance, but we want them to discover things. So we always put mountains, trees, or buildings or whatever to separate one scene from the other.
Exactly. So now we move on to the next scene. This is a scene of, in this case, a single one. So the first one was two big windows. This scene is a single window. In this case, we can see how they are discharging all the olives in here. And then they are, through a ramp that there is in here, they are discharging all the olives onto this big container, let's say. And then we have actually the mill that it's gonna press them down to finally extract the oil. That will be done on a separate room that the viewer can see down there. And then in this case, this mill, of course, there's people working down here, but they usually lived on the same building. In this case, on the upper part, we actually see the living area, right? We see a bedroom, we see here the dining room, and you can have a bit of a glance at the kitchen down there. So we represent both the working side of this whole theme about crops, but also how they lived, let's say.
Mm-hmm. And this building and all of the buildings that we are going to see, we always go for the look and the aesthetic of a Catalan farmhouse that we call masia. And this is one masia, and all of the rest are also Catalan farmhouses, so masias.
Exactly. Before we move, there is one particularity in this year's nativity scene, is that we have done many of the figurines by scanning ourselves and then printing ourselves in 3D printers. And in this case, I don't know if you can actually tell, but this one, if I put myself in this position, this figure is actually myself.
Mm-hmm. We dress up they were dressing like 200, 300, 400 years ago. We try to dress up as a figurine and then scan. You have to hold the position for 3-4 minutes so that we can go around and scan and then print. And this has been an edition like the past 3, 4, 5 years that we have started printing. And this has opened up the kind of figurines that we can have, so the kind of scenes that we can represent.
And I'm already tired of the posture.
And you have to hold it for 4 minutes.
Exactly.
Yep. So let's move.
So in this case, after you move on from the mill, you actually see the next scene, which is covered by the mill. In this case, we are part of the theme of the crops. In this case, we've decided to create a vegetable garden that was probably not as an economic source like the oil could be, but in this case, just for its own consumption, let's say, for the people that lives here.
Mm-hmm. So usually next to any farmhouse, you would have one of those. So we want to explain also a bit of the history, a bit of how they lived, and having a vegetable garden next to a building, next to a masía, is always a must.
And in this case, down there, we can see a smaller building. It's another masía, another Catalan farmhouse. This is the first one that we together built the first year that we joined here, the group. We never built this kind of constructions. At home, we would use like only natural resources, let's say, to build our nativity scene. But this is the first one that we created. Once in a time, not every year, but when you say, I need a building here that it's this size because it's this far apart. Okay, this one fits.
Mm-hmm. Because we work in perspective, so things that are closer to the viewer are bigger. So the one we saw before, the farmhouse we saw before, was way bigger, but that one is quite far, so it's way smaller, and that way we represent the perspective.
Exactly. So now as we move on this second window, we still see it's the same scene. Let's say we have so far seen 3 scenes in this whole alley. The first one was the olive trees, then the olive mill. This is the vegetable garden it spans 2 windows, and you already get a hint of what's coming, which is the 4th scene in this alley, which is the whole alley that my group was responsible for.
This we could say that it's a transition scene, because all of the scenes we try to make them so that they are connected, so that there is always a path or a bridge or something that links one scene to the other. And so sometimes we have main scenes and sometimes we have transition scenes, and this could be a transition scene. And also we have houses that are smaller there, because this year we did like a workshop to tell people, to show people, new people that wanted to join the group, how to make these houses out of foam. And we had quite a few people that did the workshop and then stayed in the group. So that was nice.
Yes. Yeah. So some of the houses that we have already seen, and this particular one and some others in other parts of the whole diorama, they came out of the workshop. Yeah.
Let's move on. And this is the last scene that Cristina built.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have here?
So in this case, it's, let's see, out of theme, right? It was all about crops, and we kind of already did 3 scenes related to crops. The 4th one, for which my group was responsible, we decided to create this cave in which we have one of the typical scenes of a nativity scene. It's the one in which an angel was telling everyone that this newborn had come. This is the scene, let's say, that has to be always on a nativity scene. On the diorama every year, in some place, this scene has to be there. And this year we decided to put it inside a cave.
We had a smaller space because depending on how we put the mountains and how we divide the spaces, sometimes we have bigger spaces, sometimes we have smaller spaces. This one was a small space, and we put here. Christina was super proud for doing this cave.
Yeah,
and
I enjoyed it a lot.
And it turned out pretty good. Cool, let's move.
And as we turn the corner, we move on to another alley. This one was the responsibility of Laura's group, so she's gonna explain what they have represented.
Yeah, so more crops, and in this case, we wanted to create these almond fields. And instead of being on a flat base, we wanted to create those terraces, because when you live in a place with a lot of mountains and a lot of hills, what they did was, in order to gain space to these mountains, they created those terraces that then they had flat spaces where they could plant all the trees or whatever. And they were doing that by creating this dry wall of stones, and that's what we wanted to represent. And then we have a lot of figurines, because for us, like, figurines give a lot of life to the diorama. So in order to be able to put more figurines, we've put a well in the field and then a bunch of figurines to cover it all. And then we keep moving. And here we have another farmhouse, another typical Catalan farmhouse, a masia, full of life, where they are working on the almonds that they are recollecting down there, and then just typical farmhouse life around. And then we continue, and here, this is the smallest window that we have. All of the others are quite big, but this one is super small. So in this case, we needed depth. So we created this path that goes up to yet another farmhouse. This one way smaller because it's further. So to work with perspective, we need it to be smaller. And here we have our sheep herd that is walking this path. We continue, and here we have another of the scenes that it has to be in a nativity scene always. In this case, it's the nativity itself. And we also wanted to include crops because that's the theme of this year. But in this case, the crops, instead of being the protagonist of the scene, in this case, we've put them on the background, and we've put sunflower fields and also lavanda fields. And actually, you have a video explaining exactly how we did the sunflowers. And another farmhouse, another masia. We have plenty of farmhouse, and we always put a lot of them because we try to represent how people lived here in this region 200, 300, 400 years ago. So we always put a lot of masia farmhouses. And then we continue here. In this space, we wanted to put another crop, and in this case, it was a rice field that was flooded with water. And for this one, we didn't have figurines. For all of the other scenes that we've represented, we could use a lot of the figurines that we had in the collection. A few of them were new, but in this case, we needed a lot of new ones. So we worked on creating those, scanning us and then 3D printing us and putting us on specific poses that were needed for this scene. And then at the end of this scene, we've created this place where they are cooking a paella. Why not? We are here in Spain. We have rice fields. So they are cooking a paella for the workers that are working on the field. When it's lunchtime, they will come and they will all eat together here.
And now as we turn around, yet another alley, in this case with 4 windows. This was the responsibility of another group, but since they are not here, we will still explain what they've created here.
In this scene, we've represented a vineyard field, so all grapes and all of that. And in this scene, we have a lot of depth. Sometimes, depending on how we put the mountains, we give depth to one scene or to the other. In this case, this one was the one. So at the end, far there, you see more fields, more masias, more churches. This one is kind of a mix between the vineyard, a few olive trees, and then also a wheat field. And what we see here is a wheat field that is being recollected, and then figurines that come to this masía again, where they are processing this wheat and then taking it all to the next scene.
As we turn the corner again, this scene was again the responsibility of another group. In this case, they've created a windmill that is processing the wheat.
And it's creating the flour. Here we don't have much space, so they've had to put this background that is basically the sky. And in the sky, sometimes when it's because on the lighting, we do the night and day effect. So when it's nighttime, all this sky, you can see all of the stars shining. And sometimes we have a shooting star, and the viewer, the public was amazed at that effect. And it was looking super nice.
And down on the ceiling part of this background, there are constellations, actual constellations that you can recognize.
Mhm.
And finally, the last scene, yet responsibility of another group. So in this one, well, there is the final scene that has to be in every single diorama of a nativity scene. It was the one announcing that the newborn was here. It was the nativity itself. And the third one, it's the three wise men that come visit this newborn. Actually, this one here is super important for us because here in Spain, on Christmas time, for us, the tradition is not that Santa Claus is the one that brings presents to the kids, but it's actually the three wise men, the one that brings all the presents to the kids. So definitely, all the kids that come visit the exhibition, they always look for the three wise men because they are the ones that bring the presents.
Exactly. And so here we wanted to create this kind of cave with running water that whenever we can, we put running water because it brings life also to the diorama and to the scene. And in this case, we wanted to create this fog effect. So down there, you see trees, and then at some point you stop seeing them because there is the fog, and you see kind of more trees and more figurines down there. But yeah, sometimes we play with effects and we do some experimentation.
Exactly. And that's pretty much it here. It's the final scene. At the end, we have quite a few scenes. We have a total of 22 windows. Some scenes are 2 or 3 windows long, but yeah, it's kind of a square, and we've went all the way around, and that's the end of it.
I hope you enjoyed. And now we are ready to build the new diorama for the next year. And if you want to see pictures of other years, you can go to the website. I've put a link in the description where basically we have a gallery of photos for each year's edition. So last year, for instance, we did the Roman Empire, and you see pictures of the progress. This is my kit. You see pictures of the progress working here. This is Christina, all the figurines that we printed, work in progress here. And down at the end, we will see like the final result. We did the Colosseum, the three wise men here walking with an aqueduct behind. What else? So yeah, here we have the pictures of the final result. The Roman Empire, that was a nice one. Then the year before, we represented the Canal du Midi in France. And again, pictures of the work in progress. And at the end, pictures of the end result. That year, we did the Mediterranean Sea, and we had to build this super big boat. It was very big, and I built it, and I'm super proud of it. What else? Oh, this year here we did Egypt. So we did the Sphinx, and we did temples here. We did the pyramids. So yeah, every year we pick a theme. The Nile River. We only have pictures up until 2010. The group is 40 years old, so they did more than that. I was not here yet. I joined this year here, 2019. That's when I joined. But you can follow the link that you have in the description and check out all the pictures. And every year we do different things. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching this video, and let's keep building for the next year diorama.